you're not strong, I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on. Oh, it won't be long. You're gonna need somebody to lean on. Please swallow your pride. If I have things you need to borrow, no one can fill those of your needs. You just call
Paying homage to the late, great Bill Withers.
me on me.
We all need somebody to lean on.
We all
in the-
need somebody.
That's right. You are walking in now to Wildcat Sports Talk. My name is Adam. That is Tim. And we are in for a killer show tonight, folks. I can't even get over how awesome this show's getting ready to be. And you all don't even know what's getting ready to hit you. That's how cool this show is tonight.
What's up, Big Blue Nation, guys? We've got a treat for you guys tonight, man. Me and Adam working hard behind the scenes. We're constantly trying to make the show better, and we are pumped up. We are so excited. This is going to be a great show. I know there's going to be a lot of people watching. I've told everybody about it. Tell your friends, tell your mom, dad, mama, papa, tell everybody. You got to watch this show because any Kentucky fan ever is going to enjoy this show. I promise you. If you don't enjoy this show, don't ever watch again. Guaranteed money back.
It's gonna be a crazy good show. She loves your background, Tim. She loves your background. That's right. Throwing it out there and doing good things tonight. I'm excited about this show tonight, Tim. As you know and can see on the bottom of your screen, there is a big reason why I'm excited, Tim. But we do have Cameron Mills tonight on the show.
Cameron Mills, man.
We've worked really hard to get him, and we're excited. We can't even talk about it.
I know,
awesome.
we're trying to say how cool it is, and some of the people out there might go like, why are they making such a big deal? Well, because it's Cameron Mills. I mean, if you grew up any time around the era that me and you grew up, Adam, Cameron Mills was the guy that represented us. He was the Kentucky boy out there living the dream, hitting the big shots. We were out in our backyard, Adam. We were out in our backyard pretending to be Cameron Mills. You know what I mean? Hitting the big shot. I mean, we all grew up, counting down, and hitting the big shot. And, man, he represents everything that Kentucky basketball is about.
Exactly. That's what it's all about, man. And that's what we're going to do tonight is we're going to talk to him. We're going to get some of his insight on his time at Kentucky. And, again, he'll be joining us in about 8 minutes. So you make sure you do not leave your seat right now because you're in for a good show tonight. Also, at 6:45, folks, 6:45, I mean, it's just going to keep getting better, all right? So you just sit tight. We got a lot more coming up for you, and we are all about it tonight here on Wildcat Sports Talk. Make sure that you're sharing this with everyone you possibly can. Your brother, your sister, your aunt, even your people you don't even like. Make sure you share them with them because you know what? We can just make you all. I'll tell you what. Tim will personally, if you have a fight with anybody, we'll do family court right here. All right, and Tim will be the judge and help you guys get through it. So, I mean, we'll even bring you on and do it. That's why we should do that. That would be a really cool segment.
That would be awesome. That would be awesome. That would be awesome, man. Hey, we're willing just to have a good time and do whatever we need to do here at Wildcat Sports Talk, man. We're pumped up. Let's tell them, man. Let's tell these guys who we got coming on tonight. I mean, if anybody remembers one of the biggest wins in Kentucky football history, I mean, a lot of people watching this. Well, some people watching this right now, Adam, might go, I don't remember us ever beating a number one team. Yes, we did. We beat a number one team in college football. We beat LSU, Adam. And, man, I'll never forget it. I mean, one of the greatest wins in Kentucky football history. And do you remember the guy, Adam, that made that tackle to win that ball game?
Yeah. I believe his name was Braxton Kelley. Yeah.
It was. And you know what? That would be a perfect guy to bring on the show. So we did.
It would. It would.
We're going to talk to him all about it, man. So, but we won't talk much about that. We'll wait until a little bit later. But we've got Mr. Braxton Kelley waiting, and we're pumped up about that. So,
all right,
man, I'm ready to get this thing started.
So Cameron Mills just texted me. He's going to join now at 6:20. He is in a Zoom chat with former players. He just texted me and told me that right there. He sent me a picture of him and some former players. Look at this. Look at this, Tim. You're not looking.
He is on a chat with former players.
He's on a Zoom chat with former players right now. So he'll.
Well, I hope he tells them all about what he's getting ready to do.
Yeah. He's getting ready. He'll be on at 6:20. Very cool. He is on. Okay, so he actually showed me who he's on with. He's on with Dwayne Peavy, Dan Issel, Sam Malone, Jared Polson. Oh my gosh. Gregory Gorham.
Oh, never mind. It's over here.
How cool is this, man? This is awesome.
Let me step away. I'm gonna step away for a second, Adam. Fix this.
What are you fixing? What is he fixing? I mean, my goodness. He just steps out. I'm sitting here trying to tell him about cool stuff, and he just jumps out of the show and leaves me hanging. Okay, well, fine. Be that way, Tim. Thank you guys for tuning in tonight. We've got Cameron Mills coming up now. I got to change that. He is going to be a little bit late, but he will join the show. He just, like I said, he just texted me and told me that, so we're good to go. It should be exciting. So awesome stuff. So hope you guys are enjoying the show tonight. I know actually. I've got something. I was going to show this to Tim, and we talked a little bit about it last night, but I got this book when I was, I don't know, it came out in 1999, so I probably got it in 1999. It's called Wildcat Wisdom, and there's a lot of like crazy good quotes in this book, and one is from Joe B. Hall, and this is on his playing days at UK during the reign of one of college basketball's greatest ensembles ever, the Fabulous Five. And he said, it was the Fabulous Five era. I was the eighth of the five. So, and there's another one from Adolph Rupp, and it's a really, really strong quote. And it's kind of like, that's what this book does. It kind of gives you words to live by. So one of the ones that Adolph Rupp said was, we had one rule. No one speaks unless you can improve upon the silence. Powerful. So it's going to be a great show tonight, like we've said earlier. Make sure you're sharing this everywhere. Share it all across the nation, all right? Everywhere. Big Blue Nation out there. We want it out there. We want you out there. You can check us out on iHeart, iTunes. We are on Spotify. That's the other one as well. I need to throw that up on the banner. I'm going to do that really quick. So I'm going to throw that up on the banner as well because I think Spotify needs a mention. So, yeah, we're also on Spotify as well, and there we go, just like that. So, iHeart, iTunes, Spotify, Facebook. We are live on YouTube as well, and I think Tim I'm glad he decided to join us back on the show because, I mean, he just skipped out and just, didn't care. He said, you know what, I'm leaving. I'm out.
Yeah, I had some technical difficulties. Can you hear me good, Adam?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you
all
good.
Right. Good deal, man. Good deal. Did you hold it down that few minutes I was gone?
Yeah. We lost about 50 viewers, but,
it happens, man. I tell you what. But, they'll come back.
You know what, though, Tim? Hell, I kind of like you.
Well, it's my favorite saying, Adam. That's one of the best things that I've ever heard out of your mouth.
Yeah.
Hell, I kind of even like you.
Oh, well, hey.
You know what, though? I'm excited, Adam, because I've noticed lately we're getting a lot of new followers and new people commenting on the shows and sending us messages. And I appreciate all those new people, man. I love it. Hang in there. Give us a chance. We're going to bring you a lot of good content, a lot of former players. Our thing is grassroots, Adam. We want to bring back the tradition of Kentucky basketball and football and talk to those old guys. And that's what I was getting ready to say right there. We got lots of faithful people that watch our show, man. We got Roy Goodman. We got Han Jamins. We got Tim Beeson. We got so many people that just always watch our show, man. And it's just, it's awesome. I love those guys. I mean, I love all of our followers, man. They're special to me.
Bravo, bravo. That's yeah. I mean, I can't say enough about them. They're all great people, every single last one of them. So make sure you realize that people like Tim Beeson, Roy Goodman, the other one you said, just talk to them there in the comments, man. They love it and interact.
I was
going to
say I hate to leave any of them out because I do love them all. I mean, Hunter Yates. I mean, we got a lot of really good people. So I do appreciate all their support. They mean a lot. Lewis Johnson, he's a good one. Like I said, I don't want to leave people out. But anyway, man, I'm pumped up. Cameron Mills, man. Everybody, when we first started talking about this, Adam, we were like, man, he hit the shot against Duke. Dude, that was only one small thing he did in his whole career. I mean, the guy had 31 points against Florida, man. I'm not talking about, Florida Technical School or whatever. I'm talking about the University of Florida. I mean,
and
Cameron
by the way,
Mills
I'd like to throw out
games.
there that was during the. Honestly, they were building a dynasty back then, man. I mean, Billy Donovan was getting ready to take that school to the next level, and it happened in the early 2000s. They nearly went. They probably yeah. I mean, like, name another team that's done stuff like that. It's incredible.
It is, man, and I don't know, man. I'm just. The game's changed a lot today.
So I got to skip out on you for a minute because I have a dog that needs to get in the house before it runs the neighborhood. So let me go do that, okay?
It sounds great, man.
Yeah.
Hey, guys. Man, like I said, don't tune away. I know it's kind of a little bit of a slow start here to the show. Adam's taking care of something. I had to take care of something. It's just all part of this, guys. We love doing live on location, and we've done a lot of our shows live on location. But with the coronavirus, the social distancing, Adam's at his house, I'm at my house. We got guests, at their house, and we're just all kind of connecting and bringing it together. So we're doing makeshift, studios right here in our house, and things kind of get a little crazy. But I appreciate everybody for tuning in. I know Adam will be back. We'll be back real soon. But, man, I can't thank you guys enough for watching Wildcat Sports Talk. Because of you guys, because we got so much interaction and we got so many followers, we're able to get guys on like Cameron Mills and like Braxton Kelley. We found out today we got another guy lined up that we're excited about. It never ends, man. There's so many UK greats that we like to hear from, and we want to hear about their stories. But you know what, guys? I want to hear your comments. I mean, send us a comment. Tell us what you think. Tell us what you remember about Cameron Mills or about Braxton Kelley. Tell us anything. Just send us a comment. Let us know, what's on your mind. Ask us a question. We'll get to it as soon as we can. We're just pumped up, man. I mean, it's a crazy time right now. I know a lot of you guys are, having a hard time with cabin fever. I am myself, being at home and not really being able to get out and go like you would like to. I'm often talking, me and my wife talking about how, we need to go out somewhere nice and eat today. And it's been a little while since we went out and eat somewhere. And then as soon as we say that, we're like, well, yeah, you can't go anywhere right now. So, Adam, I'm glad you're back, man. I was talking about how, things we're doing social distancing, so it makes it a little tough for us to do our at-home studios.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, I'm in a shed, man. I mean, like, I actually call it the doghouse. So I mean, like, I'm in the doghouse, right? So
you stay in the doghouse, man. I know whenever you're not on the show, you're out there playing music.
I know, man. Play music, do a little bit of everything, and yeah. So yeah, let me ask you something. All right, short of all of the times we've had with the Harrison twins and Cameron Mills shot, can you think of a time on the football side that made you feel kind of just as good as those moments?
Yeah, there's several of those moments, man, on the football side. obviously, Braxton Kelley's big stop against LSU and us beating number one. That's definitely one of those. And I'm not saying it because he's on the show. I mean, we beat number one, and he's the guy that stuck in there and got that stop. Nobody else around. If he's not there, they're running it in probably for a touchdown or at least setting up for a first and goal. That was a 3 overtime game. And it took about 5 minutes after that game to even realize that we had actually won and it was over. But I'll tell you a special moment for me in football, Adam, was when we beat Louisville for the first time in a very long time. And I can't remember exactly what year it was, but me and my son were at the game. And it was when Andre Woodson hit Stevie Johnson, to beat Louisville down the sideline. Stevie got loose. And me and my son, we just jumped up and down and went crazy like everybody else around us. And, we ended up getting down on the field. And we took pictures on the field, and there was players walking around. And, they tore the goalpost down. And obviously I didn't let my son, he was little at the time, 10, 11, 12-year-old. But I didn't let him tear the goalpost down. But whenever they tore the goalpost down, I did let him sit on it and take a picture while it was on the ground, And I remember my son picking up grass out of the end zone and keeping it for a keepsake. I mean, it was that special, Adam.
Yeah, I've said it a lot of people won't think of this, but personally for me, the time that really stands out in my mind was just a couple of years ago when ranked Mississippi State came in and we beat them by 21. And, for me, it was one of those games that it's like, okay, we've arrived. We're finally
That was a statement game.
We're starting to not just beat teams, but like we're starting to hurt teams. Like we're starting to keep them down.
I remember that too because that made me think. I was like, okay, we've been beating Vanderbilt most of the time now on pretty consistent, and then we'll beat South Carolina once in a while, and then we started beating it, and then we beat Mississippi State, like you said, by 21. I'm like, okay, we're not bottom of the SEC no more. We're middle of the road. We're on our way up. We're a competitor now.
Right, exactly. So, for me, I can't get over it, man. Calvin Taylor's sack in that game was one of the loudest times I have ever heard that stadium. And I mean, dude, it was rocking, man. Like it hit and you saw it. Here's the crazy part about that sack, man. We all in the stands saw it coming a mile and a half away. Like, I don't know how Mississippi State's defense on the field didn't see it because I saw it coming. I was like, he's got him. He's got him. It's over. Nobody's stopping him. Boom, boom, and it hit. And, I mean, the place went nuts, and it was awesome. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that.
And it seems so unexpected. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was so unexpected. Not just the win, but the stop was unexpected. It's like 4th and 2. Okay, here you go. They're going to get 2 or 3. We're going to go into another overtime or whatever. And then what? Wait a minute. What? He stopped him. What? Wait, yeah. What? Like no more downs? It was hard to comprehend, man.
Yeah, and I remember after that game, Nick Fitzgerald, the quarterback for Mississippi State, he said that it was one of the loudest environments he'd been in. And, dude, that's a statement. I mean, like, for the SEC, that's a huge statement considering he's played at Alabama, by the way. Just want to throw that out there. He's played in the Swamp. So, I mean, these are LSU. You know what? Here's the crazy part about environments. LSU a lot of times doesn't get the cred for being an environment that's tough to play in, but I think it is. Every game you ever watch down there, that place is rocking. And also, by the way, no one likes to play at Mississippi State because of those stupid cowbells. I just want to throw that out there too. That is the dumbest thing on planet Earth. Like, how does the SEC allow that? How does the SEC allow for them to just take those cowbells and? I mean,
there is some kind of rule.
Isn't that a noisemaker? Like,
I was going to say there is a rule on artificial noisemakers or whatever. I think it might be one of those things they're grandfathered in, Adam.
Well, all right. Well,
like Vanderbilt's basketball court.
You're
not allowed to make one anymore like that.
Yeah, well, and we should have thought of something. We should have thought of something ridiculous like 30 years ago. Like, I don't know. We need something like that. Just something ridiculous. Yeah. I mean, our claim to fame, I mean, what is the biggest thing that UK does that's like, that's like a tradition?
We win.
I mean, we win. Yes, we're winners usually.
We've got that. I mean, everybody can have their little tricks and their trickery and their little
No, but I mean,
their
there's
noise
tradition.
makers, but we win.
I would argue that like the singing of My Old Kentucky Home is one of the most like. I don't think there's a better moment. I really don't. I mean, every game, man, it gives me chills. Like, I love it.
Yeah, I miss senior nights. When we had 3 or 4 seniors and would play that. I mean, it was
seniors
sad and we would cry, but
seniors are an interesting concept, Tim. I mean, guys that stay 4 years, go through the process,
that actually play,
get a degree, or here's an idea. Maybe they like fight for playing time. Maybe they like go and earn it.
Yeah.
Or know their role essentially.
Yeah, it's funny because we say seniors and we've been getting some win with the grad transfers. By the way, we got a grad transfer from Creighton. I'm excited about that. What do you think about that, Adam? What's the kid's name? Davian. You know who I'm talking about. We posted it on the site on our page.
Yeah, so he is from
6'3" guard, 6'3" guard from Creighton.
Yes. I mean, he is of him, he can shoot. The issue is going to be, and this is always an issue with Cal teams, is can he guard? Because if he can't guard, Cal's not going to play him. I mean,
I'll tell you what,
and we know
man,
that.
I did a little research on this kid, man, and I forgot his last name. His first name's Davian. But anyway, 6'3". Here's what I read. What I read was he's a defensive stopper. What I read was he's a defensive-minded player. But he reminds me a lot, from what I read now, he reminds me a lot of Ashton Hagans. I mean, they say he's a defensive-minded guy, and his offense needs a little improvement. So I think he's a guy, Adam, that we bring in because of, is it Askew that's only like 17, 18?
Yeah. Well, I mean, at the end of the day, they're all 18, 19 years old.
Right,
17,
but I think
18,
he's
19.
A lot of people are saying that he's a really young
he
freshman.
reclassified, I think.
Yeah, he reclassified. So
Yeah.
I think that the transfer from Creighton is just to give a little bit more depth and more experience there with the ball. You know what I mean? And which is great. You always need a guy with some experience with the ball, in crucial situations.
A lot of people are really excited about this Matt Harms guy, and I am too. I mean, he's 7'3", anytime. I mean, like you said the other night, you can't teach height. Mm-hmm. The issue with him, though, is we've really never had a guy. I mean, I just I don't know. He seems to be the kind of guy that's not indicative of a Cal team.
I know exactly what you're saying. Yeah, you're
maybe
right.
I mean, he reminds me. He puts me in the mindset maybe of maybe in like an Isaac Humphries kind of guy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I mean, we've just really never had a guy because he's going to have to be like the guy if he comes, and that bothers me just a little bit.
If Richards leaves, if we don't get
and
that.
That's a good point. I actually have read too that like Quickly is probably going to come back. I mean, I think one guy from CBS said that he expects Quickly to come back.
Maybe it's like what I was saying earlier on one of our shows, Adam. I think Quickly is one of those tweeners. He's in between a point guard and a two guard. He shoots like a two guard. But he's got the height of a point guard, and I think that hurts his stock in the NBA. Guys don't want to draft a point guard size shooting guard. You know what I mean? So he's going to have to obviously play the point, and so he just hasn't really proved to be a point guard.
Yes.
Hey, thanks, Roy. I appreciate it, man. Wildcat Sports Talk. Still got to get you hooked up with one of them, Adam.
Yeah, you do. I mean, I've been kind of waiting here, just patiently.
Hey, Adam, you know what? I love it, man, when guys wear this shirt and they represent Wildcat Sports Talk and kind of advertise for us. It means a lot to me, man. It really does.
Yeah, for sure. But, so I think Matt Harms, honestly, I think we've got a pretty good chance of getting him, and especially with this guy from Creighton. And then if you get B.J. Boston and you get this Askew and these other guys and maybe one or, I mean, do you think E.J. comes back now at this point, considering he's considered undrafted right now? I mean, and the other thing, too, they moved the draft to August.
I didn't even see that. I missed it.
Yeah,
Totally
so they moved the NBA draft to August. And so that's got to weigh on the decision.
Yeah, I agree. And, EJ, man, he's a guy that really needs to come back. I mean, if he would just look at what Nick Richards did by coming back. I mean,
right.
It's right there. It's your buddy, your teammate right there, man. You see what he did. You were there when he did it. I mean, you see what he did by coming back. So I'd love to have EJ back. He needs to be back. I think he'd be a better, a bigger influence on the team, if he comes back. But Adam, some people think that that he don't need another year for whatever reason.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's for me, his dad kind of shot himself in the foot, and his son, because if he does come back, there's kind of always going to be that underlying thing where he said it's a waste of time.
Yeah. Yeah, and us Kentucky fans, man, hey, we're serious. You don't say a year at Kentucky is a waste of time. I mean, that's a real easy way to get on a bad side right there, man. I mean,
yeah, for sure.
I mean, that's what's the old country song? You're walking on the fighting side of me.
Yeah. Yeah. I was telling them while you were away about this that I was telling you about last night.
A lot of good quotes in there. Yeah.
There's some really good ones, and the one that was my favorite, and yours too, I believe, was Adolph Rupp when he said something to the effect of, what was it? I just lost it. I completely lost the quote. We have one rule. No one speaks unless you can improve upon the silence.
Yes. No one speaks unless you can improve upon the silence. That was a great one. And the other one I liked a lot was, didn't he say, guys, keep them close and I'll think of something?
Yep, right here it is. Keep them close, boys, and I'll think of something.
I love that one.
Yeah.
Keep them close, boys, and I'll think of something.
So Tim Beeson asks, what about Stoops saying to another show he is holding out hope for a football season this year? I mean, look, I hope we can get one. Here's the problem. Without a vaccine in place, I don't foresee there being football with fans. And which, by the way, I know you're not a huge baseball fan, but there was like something that they're toying with the idea of having 2 sites for baseball. That's it. 2 sites, kind of like a spring training kind of thing, and putting these teams in different divisions, which, by the way, puts my Reds in with the Dodgers. I mean, first of all, a load of crap if that happens, because like they prepared for their Central division, not this remade crap. So it just doesn't need to happen. If they're going to do that, like, just cancel it all together. And so I'm kind of like on the fence about this. I know we all want our sports, okay? We all want our sports. I do, you do. We want it. But if it comes at the expense of certain traditions and certain things, I don't know if I do. I mean, I can wait a year. I'd rather do it right. If we're going to do it, let's do it right.
Yeah, I can see your point there, Adam. I tell you, when it comes to college football, though, I mean, if it's have a season with no fans or not have a season at all, I'm definitely going, let's have a season with no fans, because, we still get to watch the game. I mean, we still get to cheer for our team. We still get to talk about our team. I mean, we need a season at all costs. I mean, we really do. But I see your point. I see your point on the baseball thing too, with the alignment and the divisions, and that makes a lot of sense. But I'm always going to say,
here, let me drop out for just a second, okay?
Okay. But anyway, guys, what I was saying is, I'm always going to say, if there's a way to play a game, let's play the game. If we can have a football season, even without fans in the stands, let's have it. Let's play football, man. We need that. I mean, I really think, guys, that we need sports right now. we understand that it's not the most important thing. It's not as important as everyone getting better. And I would never say, let's go back to normal. Let's stop the restrictions. Let's have fans in the stands. No, stopping this virus is the most important thing right now. It's way more important than sports. But if we have the option, though, of playing games without the fans or either not playing at all, I'm definitely saying let's play the games because they're going to let the media in. There's going to be coverage. They're going to be on TV. And I think that will help. I think that'll help us. It'll help us get through this, the quarantine and the being at home. The sports will be a good thing. I've read a lot of articles lately to where they talk about how sports is a good thing. It's good to help people get through times like this. Like even during wartime, there was sports, that help people get through a lot of things. So I'm a big fan of that, guys. Whatever it takes to play. I mean, I want to play. But anyway, that's about all I got to say about that. And Adam's coming back at the perfect time. You good, Adam?
Yeah,
I was about to run out.
You were running out. That's fine. Yeah, just waiting on Cameron. He's in that Zoom chat with all those players. So we're still waiting on him to
A bunch of former players or us. I mean, come on, Cam.
Well, I mean, hey, those former players might get on with us at some point. So we'll let him.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping, man. Hey, keep blowing us off, Cameron. As long as you tell them what you're doing.
Yeah. Let them know. Hey, you're getting ready to be on, Wildcat Sports Talk, and that they should do the same thing because it'll improve their quality of life. I mean, it just does. It just for everyone.
It just does. It improves everything. But you guys that are just tuning in, if you guys are just tuning in, we're 30 minutes into the show. We're waiting on Cameron Mills, and we have faith. We have faith that Cameron Mills is going to join us pretty soon. Adam's in contact with him. We're going to have him on here. We're going to see him. He's going to be live on Wildcat Sports Talk. And then, you know what? After that, we're going to have Braxton Kelley. So we're excited, guys. It's going to be fun. Cameron's a busy man. You know what, Adam? I mean, he is. He's a busy man. He's got a lot going on right now. We appreciate him coming on. He's doing this totally just out of the kindness of his heart, man. I mean, it ain't like we got the money to pay any players to come on, Adam. So whenever they come on, they're doing it, they're doing it out of the kindness of their heart. And we're still waiting on Richie Farmer. We're going to get him on one day. He did a video. He told us he was coming on, so we know he's coming on, Adam. I mean, he's coming on Wildcat Sports Talk because he told everybody he was going to.
Yeah, he is, and he's just busy, man. A lot going on.
You know what? Richie Farmer does have a lot going on, man. All you got to do is look around. You see him everywhere. He's a busy guy, and we appreciate him even, agreeing to come on the show. Just the fact that he agreed to come on. Yeah. We know that we'll have him. It's money in the bank.
And honestly, I remember when he did that video.
Do you?
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. I mean, we'll have to play it again just to refresh everybody because seriously, he, whenever he gets a chance, I know he will. As soon as he gets a chance for an interview, he'll be hitting us up.
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully you guys, like I said, we've tried to do a couple of things to improve, and we've got all the scrolling ticker down there at the bottom that tells you everywhere we're at. We've got the, letting you know what's going on. Logos are a lot of fun. Everybody loves them. So we're throwing them up all over the place.
We like to throw up logos. It's fun. You know what I mean? We got them because you're good at it, obviously. You got to do what you're good at, Adam. And, some people are good at talking sports. Some people are good at, talking religion, or some people's good at talking, help and advice and marital advice and depression. And people are good at different things, Adam. And, you got to find out what you're good at doing, and do that one thing. You know what I mean? If you're good at talking about one certain thing, automobiles, whatever it is, Luke Combs, country music, whatever you're good at, Adam, you figure out what you're good at and talk about that. But, I feel like I'm pretty good at talking about sports. It's all I've done my whole life is wrote about sports. You've talked about sports and other things. So, you know what? Do what you're good at, guys. If you're good at something, do it. You know what I mean? Just do it.
So are we going to finish up our bracket tonight?
We might as well. I mean, we might as well finish it up.
So
man.
It was Anthony Davis, Jeff Shepard, Tony Delk, and Kenny Walker.
Yep.
In the Final Four.
Yep. Tony Delk versus Kenny Skywalker. That's a good matchup. What do you think?
Who you taking?
Man,
Yeah, I'm throwing
I'm
you
going to
out
go
there.
Tony Delk. I'm going to go Tony Delk. I'm not even going to think about it.
You're gonna go Tony Delk.
I met Kenny Skywalker. Got his autograph. He's a fabulous player, a UK legend. He was unbelievable, man. But just I remembered Tony Delk a little bit better. I remember all the threes he hit. Whenever Tony Delk shot the ball, it was in. I mean, if he missed, I was shocked. I was like, "What happened? Did he get fouled?"
Well, so I'm gonna go with Sky. I got to.
So that's awesome. So
Um,
we just offset each other. So we didn't vote.
but yeah, it doesn't matter, right? But the thing is it's for me. I like me some Kenny Skywalker, and so we got one there for Delk.
Oh yeah, there you go, Roy.
Goodman, and we got Kenny Walker. So again, we've all
It's
offset
gonna be a
each
close
other.
one.
Yeah,
Whoever, hey, it's the Final Four matchup. It better be close.
Kenny Skywalker for me though, and he'll remember that when he gets on the show. So the vote is there on YouTube. It is for Delk or
Well, I think
Walker.
let the person that just commented there, let them know that it's a NCAA format bracket, and it's all the former Kentucky players battling it down to the championship game, and this is a Final Four matchup. And so it's Delk or Kenny Walker going to the championship game.
Yeah, for sure.
Hey, we appreciate all our other followers and viewers from our other platforms. That's awesome.
Yeah, man, we're getting them everywhere, man. So we're had no idea. There we go. See, that's Elvis.
I didn't notice the logo. I know. Yeah,
Okay.
that's cool.
All right. So that
Elvis is a gamer.
Yeah, for sure. So Tim, talk to me. Let's do one more thing, and we've talked about this a couple of times in the past. Of all the Cal era teams, this is not from a championship standpoint. This is just from a pure was the most fun to watch on the floor. What would it be for you?
You cut out on me. One more time.
The most fun Cal team to watch on the floor.
The most fun.
Yes.
The most fun Calipari team. Man, that's a really good question, because if you're just saying fun, not the best team, not the deepest team, just the most fun. The most fun I might have had watching Kentucky was in 2010, man. The first year with John Wall and DeMarcus Cousins and Eric Bledsoe. And, man, dude, maybe it was because it was so new. It was so new. It was like, where have all these studs come from? And Calipari over there, and it was just all so brand new. It was so fun to watch that 2010 team, man. I loved it. Now, the 15 team, in my opinion, is the most talent ever assembled on one college basketball team. I'm not saying they're the best team because they didn't win it, but the most talent assembled on one team in college basketball history was 2015 Kentucky.
Would they beat the 96 team?
Yeah.
Wow.
Probably. I mean, I don't know, man. I'd like to see that game because, I always say the best team, and I still say this, the best team in Kentucky basketball history is the 1996 team, Adam, and they're the best team in college basketball history. The best team. But the best assembled talent was in 15. That's just my opinion.
Okay. That's tough.
You can't argue with that. Come on.
No, I agree with you in a way. I mean, here's the thing. Some people would tell you that the winners are how you classify
talent?
The best winners.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. 96 won it. They're the best. They won. They probably won the most games. I don't know, but if they didn't win the most games, they beat teams by the most points. I mean, here's the deal, Adam. Here's the deal. The 96 team's the best. Think about it. They won a national championship, but we beat people by 30 and 40 points. Like, what do we do? Average beating people by 24, 25?
Yeah.
Are you listening to me?
I'm listening to you. I'm just laughing because
The
like,
average margin of victory.
listen, here's the thing though. I knew that people were going to give you
Yeah.
crud for that. And here's the thing that I really and I agree with you, because they are only saying that because the 96 team won a chip.
Exactly.
Period. But you put the teams together, and I promise you, I mean, okay, so you take that team matchup for matchup. Think about that. Matchup for matchup.
Let me tell you matchup for matchup, okay? You can take two teams off of 2015 and match up pretty close with 96. Two teams.
Well, now
Pretty close.
your boy's
I'm
in there.
I'm not
Your
saying
boy's
they're
in there.
as good.
Your boy's on that 96 team, and he is absolutely not being guarded by anybody on that 15 team.
That's exactly right. Derek Anderson can't be guarded by anybody. Anybody.
So okay, so the 15 team doesn't have an answer for him. So really, on the 15 team, who does the 96 team not have an answer for?
On the 15 team.
Because Andrew Harrison couldn't guard me, so then there's that. So then,
well, it's funny because you want to say Booker, but Booker, he was a bench player, and I don't know. I mean, 96 was deep, but they wasn't 5 starters deep.
yeah.
They were 3 or 4 deep. They wasn't 5 starters deep.
So we're gonna be going. This is crazy. So here's the other part to this too.
You need to pull up the roster from 15. I need to remember it because I don't remember all the names.
Yes. And I will do that. I was afraid this would happen. So I've got to deal with something.
Okay.
Just talk.
All right. Adam's got to deal with something, folks. So we are going to turn to a commercial break brought to you by Big Red Chewing Gum. Always a great sponsor of Wildcat Sports Talk. Always chew Big Red. Oh, man. Let's go to another commercial break, folks. Wildcat Sports Talk is proudly brought to you by Gambrell and Wilder Law Offices, specializing in automobile accidents. If you need a lawyer, turn to Gambrell and Wilder. They will take care of you with offices conveniently located in London and Pineville. Just give them a call. The number is right on our page. They'll take care of you guys. Now, it's time to come back from commercial break and see if our great co-host, Adam Webb, is available.
I'm doing something on the fly here, Tim. Give me a minute.
Okay.
I'll
go back to commercial.
You'll see.
I'll go back
second.
to commercial breaks.
I got to do something on the fly here because.
Well, all right.
Yeah.
I'll just gab a little bit. 96 team, guys. Don't get me wrong. That's my favorite team. The 1996 Kentucky basketball team is my favorite team of all time. Unbelievable. Best team ever put together. They won the national championship. They beat teams by 30, 40 points all the time. I loved watching them play. It was unbelievable. Just fabulous. I mean, it was a beautiful thing to watch. That's for sure. But, 2015, guys, I just feel like it's crazy because there was so much depth. I mean, they platooned because everybody needed on the floor. Everybody needed equal minutes. I mean, they were that good. I mean, it's crazy, but I mean, they were just loaded with talent in 2015. I know this. The reason I wanted Adam to look up the stats, not the stats. The reason I wanted Adam to look up the roster was because you could take your starting 5, and then you could take the starting 5. Now, the starting 5, guys, you could take the starting 5 off the team.
All right,
take them off.
Tim. All right, Tim.
All 5 starters off, and they still got a good starting 5. Okay.
So here's what we've got. Braxton, I see you and I hear you. You will be on here in just a minute. Yeah. So let's do something here really really quick, and then we'll we'll have a special guest for you guys.
Scored 62 in a high school game. He must think he's back in Boston.
He's got the look like he's in total control. For the tie. Tipped out. Mills for the lead.
Oh! They've been waiting on it.
That's his first basket of the tournament. Cameron Mills.
On a tip out. Here's where Mike Krzyzewski would like it to use a timeout.
That was it right there, Adam.
Ladies and gentlemen, joining us on the show is the man, the myth, the legend himself, Cameron Mills. How are you, sir?
I'm fine, guys. How are y'all? Can y'all hear me okay?
We can hear you great.
Great.
We hear you great, Cameron. Hey, it's an honor to have you on the show, man.
Well, listen, I let me just in front of everybody apologize for the last 2 weeks. I'm sorry. I was supposed to be on, and like I said, I don't know if y'all announced I was going to be on or not, but I had to cancel last minute both times. So I'm sorry, but I'm glad it worked out tonight. And I'll tell you what, y'all be one interested to know this. The reason I was a little bit late tonight is UK men's basketball marketing just got together a Zoom of I think we were up to about 40 former players. It's still going on. I had to jump off it right now to come in and join you all, but they just kind of did this silly little thing to see, let's see how many former players we can get on the same Zoom. And by the time I left, we were up to, and we had guys from every decade. Dan Issel was on there, Louis Dampier, Coach Cal. Let's see, a bunch of guys from my era that played with me: Scott Padgett, Saul Smith, Alan Edwards. Let's see, Chuck Hayes was on there, Nerlens Noel was on there. So it was probably about, I think by the time I left, there were 30 of them. And they may try to do this again and just try to have a little I don't know that they'd call it a reunion, but a group of see as many former players as they could get on the same Zoom, just say hey to everybody. I mean, in this nutty time, it's just something to do. So that's what they're working on at UK Sports Marketing right now. So that's why I was a little bit late.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So tell us first of all how you're handling this whole quarantine, man. We're all in it together right now, man.
It is a for me it's a 50-50 split between a gift and a burden. Because there's so many things in my life that I say, well, I'll do that when I have time. Well, I'm out of that excuse. So there are things that, bizarrely enough, maybe even refinancing my home that I've been working on this week. Financial things that I've always said, I don't have time to get that together now, but I'll try to get it together when I have time. And of course, you never have time like this. So that's what I mean by gift. At the same time, it's gotten me so out of and I don't have a very good routine anyway. My routine is there is no routine in my life because of just the work I do. It's very sporadic when I'm working, how I'm working, and what I'm working as far as what I'm doing. Because I'm typically traveling, and when you travel, you wind up doing your work at many different times of the day. But so the very seldom the routine I was in, that's gone. So now I'm basically at home, trying not to sleep in, trying to get up and get stuff done every day. So it's been chaos like it has for everybody, and you just kind of handle it the best you can. And I think we're getting to the point where we might be getting over the hump, but we're still probably 2 or 3 weeks away from going back to life as normal. And I don't know how much normal we'll ever go back to.
Hey, Cameron, you're right, man. It's something that we've never experienced before. It's a big adjustment for all of us. But I do want to say again that we can't thank you enough for coming on the show. This is huge for us, man. I'm a big fan of yours. We all grew up, being big fans of yours and excited to have you. And I just want to kind of jump right into it because of all our followers have been dying to hear from you. I just wanted you to kind of just tell me what you remember about your playing days, just how amazing that was as a Kentucky boy to come on and live out that dream that we all had growing up, man. I mean, we all want to know what that dream was like. Kind of how do you put it in your words?
I tell you, it's a hard question to answer quickly, but I'll do my best. I'm not very good at quick answers anyway. I would say this: I don't think I would have ever, if I had written my story, like if I'd written a story about what I want my career to have been like, I don't think I would have had the guts to have written it the way it wound up. Because I remember having a conversation with Coach Pitino right as I first decided I was going to walk on. And he basically said, he didn't really try to talk me out of coming to Kentucky, but basically said, are you sure you want to come here? Because you're never going to play here. I mean, you're going to be here. You're going to sit the bench. But you're never going to be a star, and you're never going to be one of the main guys, and you may not ever play here. And I remember saying to him, Coach, if I'm here for 4 years and I get to wear that uniform, my dad's uniform, no less, and I get to sit on that bench and get to be a part of the program, that's enough for me. I mean, that's as high as I'd really set my dream. Fortunately for me, he would not allow me to set my dream so low. And he kind of said, kind of had this attitude of, he treated me the same way he treated his McDonald's All-Americans, and had the same expectation for me that he did for them. And I think because of that, I didn't have a choice but to get better. And so I wound up having a much better career than I ever expected to. I didn't expect to win 2 national championships. I certainly didn't ever expect to be a part of those national championships. I mean, I could have seen in those 4 years maybe being on a team that won a national championship, but maybe the 96 team where I really didn't contribute. I was on the bench. I wasn't one of the guys that, really helped us win or helped us win at all. But it was the 97, 98 or the 96, 97 season and the 97, 98 season. Those are the seasons that I'm like, those were the icing on the cake. I couldn't imagine those ever happening. Nor a son that's 8, Collier, Collier, I think maybe 9. And then Mac, who's 2, 3. I'm a terrible uncle, at least knowing names or knowing the ages. And Collier, and we don't really. My family, my brother's family lives in Northern Kentucky, and they don't really. I mean, they're Kentucky fans, and my nieces and my nephew have both been to a couple UK games, but they don't really. We've not really sat down, nor should we have, and really, Collier especially has not really sat them down and told them, now your Uncle Cameron played ball here. I mean, he may have mentioned that, but when you're 31 or when you're that young, you don't care. It doesn't mean anything to you. And so this year it seemed to be the first time when they really started to understand. And I think part of it was because of the lack of any March Madness games. And so the Duke game was on, and I get the sense that Collier sat them down and told them Uncle Cameron's going to be playing a game here this afternoon. And so they sat him down, but they didn't tell them anything. They didn't tell them about what would happen in the game. They didn't tell them that we'd get down 17, didn't tell them we'd come back from 17, and didn't tell them that I'd hit a shot that would help us win, or at least that would give us the lead for the first time in the game. And so everything you saw in that video was real and raw and just emotion of watching my niece and my 2 nephews react in the moment to what happened. And so it was neat for me because when that happened in real time for me 2 years ago, I don't remember anything. I don't even remember that moment. If it wasn't for video, I still wouldn't remember what happened. But watching my niece and nephews react the way they did to something they thought was pretty much happening in real time to them, that was a pretty cool moment, because we don't talk a lot about, what Uncle Cameron did or Uncle Collier did in college. I tell you, the funny thing is, after that video, Collier sent me that video and I posted it. It got such a crazy reaction, probably got the highest reaction of any tweet I've ever posted. My brother immediately texted my mom and I and said, hey, when can Cameron put some of my college tapes up on Vimeo? And I had to immediately get back to him. I said, well, we're at least 3 or 4 weeks away from that, because they're all on VHS tapes. So, but what was funny to me is Collier had showed his daughters and sons my games, but they've never seen him play. And so we immediately got to work down here putting together some of his VHS tapes or some of his games at Transylvania University, putting them on digital so his kids could watch their daddy play when he played. And if you know anything about my brother's career, I may have gone to the bigger school, but Collier had the better overall college career. I mean, he was the NAIA Player of the Year in 2001 and had all kinds of offers overseas to play professional. And even Dan Issel and the Denver Nuggets offered him a spot on their summer league team in 2001. So he had a much better career and a much better player. So we're putting those videos on digital now, so his kids will get to see him soon.
Yeah, that's awesome. So just a quick follow-up to that shot. I mean, you hadn't scored in the tournament. When the ball left your hand, did you just know it was going in the second it left your hand, or was it one of those kind of like you hope and pray it goes in?
Yeah, I think it was one of those. Actually, I don't even know if it was one of those I hope and pray it goes in. I think it was one of those because so much of it on that level is you don't think. Like, everyone asks me, well, what were you thinking when you hit that shot against Duke or the 2 shots against Utah? And you're not thinking. And I think that's the goal. I think the goal is you're reacting. The point is that you've been through that scenario hundreds and hundreds of times, very, very similarly in practice. And so you just do what you've done in that case millions of times, which is catch and shoot. And so even after the shot's gone, you're not hoping and praying it goes in. You're just waiting to see the result, because one or two things are going to happen. Either it's going to go in and you can back up and get on defense, or it's going to miss, in which case you better either get back on defense and find a man, or you better go follow your shot and hopefully get the rebound, because you don't really have a time to enjoy the moment during the moment. You really, and it sounds so, it honestly sounds boring when you think about it that way. It's like, oh, well, I wasn't thinking, it was just a matter of what's my next assignment. And that's always the way it is. No matter what big shot you hit. Scott Padgett's shot that he hit against Duke 2 minutes later in that game, if you ask him, he'll tell you he doesn't remember it. It just was a catch and shoot. It was a little pick and pop for he and Wayne Turner, and Wayne hit him and he just shot it. And I mean, he wasn't thinking, oh, I better make this shot. He was just doing what he'd done a million times and shooting it, and it went in.
Yeah, well, so I think Tim had another question for you, but I just lost him, so I don't know. And again, in all of this,
we went from 3 screens down to 2 here. So,
in all of this quarantine stuff, this is what happens when we're all in remote locations. We're gonna lose them. So, I'll ask one more question here,
okay.
and then we'll let you go.
Okay.
Tell us a little bit about Coach Tubby Smith. We always talk about Pitino. We always talk about Cal, and I want to hear the Tubby Smith and the version that you got of him, because I consider him, and this is, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I consider him one of the best in-game coaches that Kentucky has had.
Yeah, I think it's weird to say, because there's a lot of evidence from the outside looking in about whether or not a coach is a great in-game coach. But what fans tend to do, and media tend to do, is they look at the results of underneath out of bounds plays, side out of bounds plays, coming out of timeout plays, whether or not they work or they don't. If they work, they're a great X's and O's, and if they don't, well, they're not a great X's and O's. And honestly, that's it's not fair to look at it that way, because bottom line is, you're going to run, you've got a set of X's and O's underneath out of bounds, side out of bounds, coming out of timeouts, plays you're going to run during the course of a set. And the X's and O's parts, they don't happen in the game. They happen during, I think people get this picture that a coach is going to draw up a play in the timeout in a moment, and if that play works, they're a great X's and O's coach. That's not what happens. Is the play they draw up in the sideline on the timeout, that is a play that he has drawn up 1,000 times in practice, that you've run 1,000 times in practice. And so what makes great X's and O's coaches is if those 5 guys take that play and execute it on the court, because even if the defense responds to shut it down, well, there's part A of the play, part B of the play. There's all these options that you are supposed to run as a player, depending upon what the defense does. And if you practice that 1,000 times, it's second nature. And so one of the benefits of Tubby is that one of the ways that he is, and he truly is. I'm not saying he isn't a great X's and O's coach. He is, but it's not because of the moment you see happen on the court. Like, it's not like in that timeout he just drew up something genius. It's that we went out and executed a play that he forced us to practice 3,000 times that year in practice, and we knew every option off of it. So no matter what the defense did, we immediately had the instant counter option, and so it was going to work no matter what. The one thing I will give Coach credit for, and I think this has to do with more of his calmness and demeanor than it does his ability to draw X's and O's, is I don't know that we lost an overtime game, or that he lost an overtime game in years. I think even after I was gone, he went on and coached another 7 or 8 years. His overtime record was phenomenal. And I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that he was every game was prepared to go to overtime. It wasn't we're in overtime now, what do we do? It was, we're in overtime. What's our overtime protocol? Here's what we do. Here's who we start. Let's run. If we get the tip, here's what we're going to do. If we don't, here's the defense we're going to fall back into. And of course, that would be predicated on who we were playing. So I guess to answer your question shortly, I wouldn't say Coach was. I would agree with you that Coach is a phenomenal X's and O's. I guess what I'm careful to say is that the reason he was because of the thousands of hours of practice behind the cameras that you all never saw. That's what made him a great X's and O coach. And that wasn't any different than he or Coach Pitino, or I'm sure Coach Cal now. It's just, I think what people need to realize a lot of times is what you see on the court, that's 2% of the total work this team has done when it comes to plays and practice. The 98% you never get to see. And so the end of it, what you see on TV, that's a small percentage of the work that's gone into it. You don't make sudden decisions there. All the adjustments and everything everybody says, those are usually made weeks beforehand, depending on if they do this, we do this. If they do this, then we do this.
Hey, Cameron, man. Yeah, I'm back. Man, my favorite part of having former UK players on is some stories that they tell that we've not heard before, some kind of little behind the scenes things about something that happened at practice, or, we've got some really funny stories from Jeff Shepard and Aminu Timberlake and Rodney Dent. And I just love hearing those stories because it feels like it brings you right inside of the game and inside of what happened, behind closed doors. But Have you got anything that sticks out that you kind of remember, maybe even a funny story or something?
I've got 100 of them. It's always a matter of whether or not which ones I can remember at which time. I'll tell you, I don't know if this is a funny story, but to me, it speaks to something that I think is very important as far as your teammates. When I was a senior, Jeff Shepard was a senior, and as was Alan Edwards. And by the time you get to a senior, I played with Shep for 4 years, and he was a fifth-year senior, so I'd been with him for 4 full years, and he and I had become quite close. I'd been having back spasms. This is the 98 season. It was right around the time when practices got really hard. We were having 2-a-days, the famous 6 a.m.s that Coach Smith had implemented because we had lost that last game against Ole Miss, or the last game we lost in the season, which was against Ole Miss. And so we're having these practices, and my back start to spasm. They basically I can't stand up. And so during a morning or afternoon practice, but I couldn't move. I couldn't run. I couldn't do anything. But there was this part of me that's like, okay, I'm not going to just not practice. I'm not going to guys, I can't practice today because of back spasms, because that's one surefire way to lose the respect of your teammates. So I thought, okay, I'll do my best and I'll try. Well, we did a kind of a defensive slide drill, the full length of the court up and then the full length of the court back. And when we got back, I was done. I was literally, my back was falling apart. And so I laid down and I called over our trainer. And he started stretching my back out, hoping he could kind of loosen him up and my back would feel better and I could at least get back in practice. And my teammates started walking, kind of walking by me and looking down at me, and their looks at me were of utter disgust. Like, they didn't say anything. They didn't call me a baby. They didn't call me any number of things they could have called me. They just looked at me, and I had this feeling of I'm disappointing my teammates. And it's something I wound up saying in the documentary I made with Dick Gabriel and Jason Epperson called Out of the Blue about the 98 championship, is that what I realized by my senior year is that I feared my coaches, especially Coach Pitino, but I feared my teammates more. It wasn't that, what kept me healthy, eating the right way, giving, working on my free throws during off hours. What kept me doing that when I didn't have to was not that I didn't want to disappoint my parents or the state or my coaches. I didn't want to disappoint my teammates. And I think that's one of the biggest things that came out of that 98 championship, is that we kind of had this accountability to each other, where if we let our fans down, so be it. We didn't want to, but if we did, so be it. But we were not about to disappoint each other. I was not about to not give my all for the sake of my teammates who had given their all. And I think that's what we feared. And that's one of the things that made the 98 team special, was that we weren't going to disappoint each other. We weren't going to give less than all we had, because we knew our teammates had given all they had. And so we weren't going to be the one that was going to give less. And I think that's what made that 98 team special. And that's just the one thing sticks out. I've got this visual memory in my head of me on my rear end, getting stretched out by Fast Eddie, our trainer, and Jeff Shepard walking by me and just shooting me this glare as though he hated it. And he doesn't remember it, but I'll never forget it, because I remember thinking, I'm disappointing my teammates right now. You better get your rear end up and get in that practice, whether you die doing it or not.
Man, I absolutely love that story, Cameron. And I think that's a story that a lot of coaches could tell that story to their team, before the season, as a motivational tool of, you don't want to disappoint your teammates. I just got one more real quick question, because I know we're up against the time limit, and I'll turn it over to Adam. But I've been dying to ask you, like I said before, growing up a Kentucky kid, the moment you first put on that uniform, that Kentucky uniform, how did that feel?
That was one of those moments you would think, like I think you were gone when I was talking to Adam about when I would hit those shots and what those would feel like. So it would, when I would hit those, you're not thinking about those shots at all. It would wind up being when you're, but when you put on a uniform like that, you are kind of, this is a special moment. And so you're thinking about, okay, remember what this feels like. Kind of you force yourself to take mental pictures and mental emotional pictures of, what are you feeling as you do this? In the middle of games, you don't have time to think that. So it's those quiet moments where you put the uniform on for the first time that means something. And to be honest, for me, it wasn't so much the uniform, even though it was certainly when that time came, but the first uniform you put on is your practice uniform. You put that on long before you put on, your game jersey, and you even put on your workout uniform before you put on your practice jersey, because you report the summer before your freshman year, and they give you this pair of shorts that say Kentucky basketball, just a generic gray shirt that just says Kentucky basketball, and it's gray and dark blue, and by the time you're done with it, an hour and a half later, it's dark blue and dark gray. And so those are the jerseys that, the moment I put those jerseys on, I remember thinking it's official. I'm a Wildcat, because this is Wildcat practice gear. No one else on earth has this. They may have something similar to it that you could probably buy at, I don't know, some sports place, but this is the actual official Kentucky basketball practice gear. And that mattered to me when I put that on for the first time.
Awesome. Well, Cameron, listen, we thank you so much for coming on the show. And
you're welcome, guys. I'm sorry it took me a couple weeks to get up to you.
If you happen to get back into that Zoom conference, why don't you tell those 45 other players that Wildcat Sports Talk would love to have them? Just
I don't know how long they were going to do it, and I felt bad because I didn't tell them I had to leave. I left my screen open on my other computer and jumped in here and grabbed on with you all. So I assume they're still going on. I don't know. They were going to try to see how many ex-Wildcats they could get, and they were up to 35 or 40 when I left. So
that's awesome. That's awesome. Well,
all right, guys, great day.
We appreciate it, and as always, you're welcome on here any other time. So
thank you. Have a great day, and thanks for having me. And again, I apologize. It took me a couple weeks to get with you.
All right,
problem. Thanks, Cameron.
All right, take care,
dude. That was awesome.
Yeah, awesome. So without doing this any longer than I have to, man,
Braxton Kelley.
I'm just gonna do this thing, and here we go.
Nice plan there. Put out to set in the slot, hoping maybe two guys would go with him, get better numbers, and still run the ball inside. Hester really limping now. All those fourth down calls last week. LSU needs another one. And Hester, Mr. Fourth Down himself, is limping out.
4th and 2. Top-ranked Louisiana State University, 5 for 5 on fourth downs a week ago in the win over Florida. Flynn, Scott, I don't know. I don't think so.
No way.
Kentucky wins.
Boom!
That's it right there. The stop.
I can't even get over how cool that is.
Unbelievable.
That is awesome. That was one of the best moments in Kentucky football history, and you were a part of it, sir. How are you doing, Braxton Kelley?
Man, I'm doing great. Good to see you guys.
It's awesome. Tell us about your time at Kentucky. We don't get a whole lot of football guys on here. And so, this is really a big deal for us because you have no idea. I have season tickets to football, so I always tell my football people that. So, I'm all about it. Seriously, that was one of the craziest games that I can remember.
It was definitely a crazy game. A lot of back and forth in that game as far as scoring points, turnovers, penalties. It had it all. So you don't like to say it's sloppy because a lot of plays were made, but it was definitely a lot of penalties in that game too, if I can remember. But a little bit about myself as far as how I ended up at Kentucky, man. I just always think back to a conversation that I had with my coach, Steve Pardue, who also ended up coaching at Kentucky under Joker Phillips. Joker Phillips came down, I think it was my sophomore year, and he offered me a scholarship. And he told my mom she never had to worry about paying for school for me. It meant the world to me. He was my first offer, actually. Kentucky was my first offer. So it meant a lot to me that he came in and offered early like that. Also, all the teams that came after that, I definitely had interest in. But seeing that I had already knew a couple people that had went with, to Kentucky, was Quentin McCord, who was a family friend, and I think a few years later, the guy who was ahead of me was Wesley Woodyard. Wesley Woodyard made his commitment to Kentucky his senior year, and that he kind of lured me to go ahead and commit to Kentucky my junior year. And once I committed, it was a wrap. Actually, it's a funny story between me and my coach Pardue. I had already committed to Kentucky, but another couple other schools had decided they wanted to come and give me a visit because I only had taken my one visit, and that was to Kentucky. I was supposed to take a visit to Virginia Tech, didn't end up taking that one because of some other issues. They tried to come and pick me up and take me on a flight without ever contacting my mom, which is funny. She wasn't having that. So she wasn't having that. So that visit never happened. But once I committed, a couple other schools hit me up, tried to get me to come to Kentucky. Come to their schools, but coach was like, so when you use the word, coach told me, when you use the word commitment means something now. Going on visits and things like that after you've already committed to somebody, it's not something you want to do, because now if they're committed to you and you're committed to them, if they go out looking for someone else, you wouldn't like that, would you? I was like, nah, you got a good point, coach. So I turned down a couple other visits after I had my made my commitment, but that's how I ended up there. I went on a visit to Kentucky, saw what they had to offer, met a lot of nice people up there, enjoyed the campus. Wesley was able to show me around, Keenan Burton, guys like that, Dickie Lyons. I met all those guys on my trip, and I felt like Kentucky was home, so I made it my home.
Hey, Braxton, man, I want to tell you thanks for coming on. I'm sorry we got to you a little bit late there, buddy. We got a little bit behind on getting Cameron on the show, but it means a lot having you on, man. Oh, can you not hear me?
You can't hear him?
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. I can't hear him.
Okay, hold on. Let me see if I can't fix that just real quick. That happens every once in a while, Braxton.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Okay. All right, Braxton. Hey, man, we're kind of still new to all this, man. It's a new show, but we're having a good time with it. And I was just apologizing for getting you on there a little bit late because we got Cameron on a little late. But,
you got a 2-time national champion in. I'm in my place. Trust me, I'm in my place. I get it. That's
what I like about Braxton, man. Braxton's not only a former player, he's a Cat fan. Look at he's got his polo on, man. He got his show. I know you were commenting on the show back a month ago, man. You were watching Wildcat Sports Talk. And I just want to tell you, man, it's an honor to have you on. Before you came to Kentucky, you had a lot of rough years, at Kentucky, man. And you were part of that group that gave us some excitement, man, that turned things around. I want to thank you for that. And I just want to ask you, how did it feel to be able to do that whenever we wasn't used to that kind of thing?
The biggest thing, so like I said, Wesley Woodyard was a big catalyst for me coming there. What people don't know is at LaGrange, Wesley was our leader. Like, we knew what he wanted. We knew what our program wanted. And I won 3 state championships. Wesley won 2. So Wesley won 2, then I won another after he left. So I knew if a guy like Wesley would go to Kentucky, that he went because he saw something in somebody that said, hey, we're going to have a chance to compete. We may not win a national championship, but we'll have a chance to compete for the SEC championship, and we'll definitely make the program better. Wesley was always somebody that I looked up to as a kid. We played on the same team all the way from Little League. We played on the Lions Club. Then we played on a couple more football teams together. Played middle school ball together at Gardner Newman Middle School. Then was able to play high school at LaGrange High School. Then we played at Kentucky together. Then he goes signs free agent for Denver Broncos. Then I end up signing free agent for the Denver Broncos. So that whole me and Wesley and a few other guys, Wesley Woodyard, Demario Ford, Mansour guys, you got Quay Huzzy, Michael Bailey, Randall Burden, all those guys, we knew that, hey, if Wesley goes up there and we know what he stands for, and he's not going to stand for just being walked through in 2-8 seasons, 2-9 seasons. He's going to go there trying to change the culture. So with him trying to go in to change the culture, he really talked to me and was like, man, we can do this thing. You come up here, I'm up here. I know right now that you can come up and take a spot right away. You'll be competing at an all SEC level because I know you can do it. So Wesley was one that really kind of taught me in the coming, as well as Coach Phillips. Of course, I got to give him credit, but and Coach Brooks and Coach Archer. Those guys really led me to believe that I could be a difference maker. I think I was a difference maker. Whether everybody thinks that or not, I don't know. But
I mean, all we got to say to that is the 4th and 2 stop. I mean, that's a difference maker, right?
That's a big difference maker.
I mean,
Yeah. Yeah, but Wesley definitely had his part in it. But I knew that I wasn't a loser. Like, I knew that I wasn't a loser. I knew that Wesley wasn't a loser. I knew Raphael Little wasn't a loser. I knew that the talent that I saw that those guys had, Keenan Burton and Andre Woodson, even the things that I saw Curtis Pulley be able to do as a freshman, who I came in with, even though they didn't end up getting to play like that. But I saw that if we really put this thing together, that we can make a run, and that's what we were able to do. We were able to get ranked 7 or 8 in the nation at one point in the 2007 season. It means a lot. We didn't finish where we wanted to, but it definitely means a lot. So coming up to Kentucky, despite their record before I got there, you can dwell on the record if you want to before I got there, but every good player or player that thinks that he can be a difference maker won't let that affect his decision making. So that's the kind of the boat that I was in when I was making my decision.
Hey, Braxton, we got a comment there. Was you going to tell him about it, Adam?
I want to tell you about this comment, man. I feel like that is a big deal, and you need to know. I mean, you're part of the Big Blue Nation, man, and you're always going to be. You're always going to be. So
I see that, Andrew. I really like that. I really like that. I picked my number because of I was number 64 in high school, so being a linebacker, couldn't play 64 at linebacker. I could, but I didn't. But so I ended up number 56 was available, and I was like, Lawrence Taylor. So I picked my number because of Lawrence Taylor. So technically, you picked your number because of Lawrence Taylor too, because that's why I picked mine. So we that's if you want to. If Lawrence Taylor is one of the greatest linebackers to ever play, in my opinion, the greatest.
Well, so you should know, he picked it because of Braxton Kelley. So there you go, man. There you go. I mean, that's what it's all about.
And you know what's funny though? Even though he said that he picked the number, there were parents. I ran into 2 parents that following year that had kids named Braxton. One of them was literally named Braxton Kelley.
Wow.
Yes, and I signed the autograph for the kid. I mean, for the family or whatever. They're like, we named our kid after you. You have to sign this autograph because of the 4th and 1 stop. I was in labor at that time.
That's awesome, man. Hey, that tells you. Yeah, Kentucky football, Kentucky basketball, man. Kentucky fans are just crazy. You know, Calipari says it all the time. You know, Kentucky fans are crazy. But it looks like to me, man, that you're still a Kentucky fan. Tell us about how serious you are following the Cats in basketball and football.
Man, I'm serious, man. I watch all the. I don't say I watch all the basketball games, but I watch as many basketball games as I can. When the SEC tournament comes on and the national tournament, I definitely tune in to all of those games. I watch almost every football game that I can watch. Man, these last few years have been magnificent. You know what I mean? We've been so close that I can see within the next couple years, if we can really just string together a whole bunch of wins, that we can definitely be in the top 4 playoff spot as well. But yeah, I'm a true blue fan through and through at this point. Like I always tell people, my mom always pick at me. She was like, my wife, because she had a Georgia something in her house one day. So me being the kid that went to Kentucky, I'm like, why is anything Georgia in my house? My brother don't cheer for Georgia. My dad don't cheer for Georgia. Well, it was just a hat. somebody gave it to me or something like that. I like, we can get rid of that.
That's right.
I'm
That's
like,
awesome.
I know,
That's awesome.
I know I'm from Georgia and all that, but I always looked at it like this. I told my mom, I said, Mom, you supposed to want who wants your son. Kentucky wanted your son. Georgia didn't offer me a scholarship last time I checked. So we don't need any Georgia stuff in our house. And she just laughs about it. But I'm true blue. I'm true blue, man. It was me. I can so what game was it? Was it a bowl game? No, it was the Georgia game this past season. Georgia game, I had Keenan Burton, Gary Williams, Big James Alexander, and a couple of other UK guys over to the house, and we all fellowshipped and everything. So that was good getting to watch that game. It was pretty close, I mean, for the most part towards the end. But we definitely some of the guys down here in Atlanta, we were able to get together and enjoy the game. So I wear my true blue. You know what I go to LA Fitness down around here in Powder Springs where I live. So I always have on Kentucky stuff. So they don't know my name. That's what they call me. Kentucky.
Kentucky.
Right. So we won't keep you on too much longer, but I wanted to ask you and kind of give your thoughts on this upcoming season, man. I mean, we've got some big time defensive. I mean, listen, you were awesome when you played. And to think about that and where we've come from, even that, I mean, the defense right now is some of the best defense I have seen at Kentucky ever.
Man, you said something then. These guys, they like a different breed. Like I seen the outside linebackers, 31. I don't even know all the cats' name. I watch so many positions that it's like I can't remember the names. But watching the defensive linemen that they have now, the size that they have, the safeties and the size that they have, it's amazing just to see where we come from as far as recruiting, especially size-wise. Now, I'm one of the guys that believe if you can play, you can play. But if you can play and you got the size, you're definitely at a big advantage compared to a lot of other players. So the guys that he's bringing in, man, Coach Stoops is doing a wonderful job of recruiting. They are definitely difference makers. Some of the linebackers I've seen, man, definitely going to be the truth. What is my guy name? One of my favorites who I've seen. Is it Oaks?
Oaks?
Yes.
Yes. There's also so on the defensive line that we've got coming back.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're really not losing anybody, but like maybe some of the secondary. You lose Cash Daniel.
Yeah, you lose Cash. We lost Allen last year. Oh, that's amazing too.
Josh Allen. I mean, my goodness, man. What a story. What a story, dude. He comes in and no one but Kentucky decided to roll the dice on him, and he turns into this dude that, I mean, like, man,
unblockable. He's still unblockable.
Yes.
Pro Bowl rookie year, so wow.
Yeah, good stuff.
Amazing, man.
Hey, I did have one more thing for Braxton before we let him go. Braxton, I know you were at the Broncos for a while there, played in the NFL. Is there a big difference in, like, say, NFL fans, like the Bronco fans, and the way they treated you as far as the Kentucky fans?
Man, the Broncos, now I gotta be honest with you. As far as the way they treated me, no, but Broncos fans are definitely up there with some of the craziest fans too. They love their football. That's really what it is all about up there, in Denver. With like it's almost like when I say I don't like to say anybody's God, but when Elway walks, hey, they ain't gonna say they worship the ground he walks on, but man, he can do no wrong in that city. But Elway, Shanahan, the guys like that, Champ Bailey, those guys mean so much to that town and those Super Bowl that they recently won, especially even Peyton Manning now after he got up there was able to win the Super Bowl. It's definitely a football city. It's a place that I love. I actually go back at least twice a year because my wife is from there, so I'm able to go back and visit some guys that played up there. But now I don't think there's not even one player left from that. Well, Von Miller is the only player left from the last team that I played on when I was in Denver. So other than him, everybody else is retired or either gone.
So you just missed Peyton by a couple of years.
Yeah, man. I missed him by 2 years. I missed him by
Yeah.
2 years. Yep. But I was still up there the year before that, so still living there. So it was still cool just to be in that atmosphere, able to see the things that they were doing, able to go back to the facility and things like that and visit. So it was cool. They still have a lot of pride in the guys that played for them, whether they were a starter or the guy like me that just was a free agent. So it's all good.
Hey Braxton, man, I hope you continue watching Wildcat Sports Talk, man, and comment, and be a part of this. And I know we would love to have you back on, man, as much as we can.
Oh yeah, sure. I love it. Anything about sports, man. People that I've worked with, they could tell me, man, that's all you want to do is debate about this and that about sports. So that's what I do. So it's definitely no issue with me as far as trying to get me back on or have my take on anything as far as football is concerned, especially football. I talk a little basketball, but especially football. So
do you come up and go to the games?
Yeah, I came to what game did I go to? I went to Louisville. No, I went to Louisville. Now, the game that I wish I didn't go to was the Louisville game when Lamar Jackson broke out as a freshman, and we were up like 23-0, and then he came back by himself. But I think what game did I go to? I didn't get to go. Something happened, and I wasn't able to go this year. But I do come up. I try to get up to at least one game per year because I'm coaching out here football too at a high school level. So I still try to get up there at least once a year though.
That's awesome. Well, I want to give
you. I did go to the Louisville game this year. Yep, I did.
Yeah,
go.
because Lynn Bowden smoked him.
Yeah, I was there. He ran for like 350 yards or something like that. 400 yards. Yeah, I was there. We scored 45 points. Right. I was up in there with. I was up in the suite. Yep, I do remember. Yep.
That's awesome. Well, so what I'm going to do here. I'm going to give you kind of 30 seconds to just talk directly to Big Blue Nation and tell them how much you love them and anything you want to say. And I'm going to send you off to some Grove Street party. How does that sound?
Oh, that's good. That's good.
There you go,
Big
man.
Blue, this is Braxton Kelley, man, the one and only. But I just want you guys to know that I really enjoyed my time there. I hope you guys go out and support each and every sport that we have, all the way from basketball to tennis to volleyball to football. All these athletes, they put in their hard work, and they really deserve you guys from the first snap, or the first tip-off, until the last buzzer sound. So always stay support, always show up, and always go blue.
Awesome. Braxton, thank you for coming on the show tonight. We really do appreciate you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Braxton.
Yep. Man, I love me some Braxton Kelley. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that show, man.
What an awesome show, Adam.
I mean, let me tell you, and secretly I'm over here, and he can still hear me. That's fine. Secretly I'm over here geeking out, man, because listen, I remember watching him make that play and feeling the most elated I've felt.
I know.
In my entire life, because we needed that. Big Blue Nation needed that win. So that's it, man. We're gonna I don't even have anything else to say. I'm done.
No, a great show, Adam. Thanks, man. I think you did good. Obviously, it was awesome. Hey guys, before we go, I do want to say go ahead and hit that share button. If you haven't shared this video, go ahead and share it for us, guys, so everybody can see it. It was a great day for Wildcat Sports Talk. I love you guys, and thanks for tuning in. Go Big Blue.
That is awesome. Tim, thank you. I thought it was awesome, and we'll do it again. Oh, yeah, iHeartRadio. My goodness. Don't forget about iHeartRadio, right, Tim?
iHeartRadio, baby.
We're on iHeart. We're on Spotify. We're on iTunes. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube. We are on everything. You know what? That's it. Y'all have a good night. Thank you, Cameron Mills, for coming on the show. Thank you, Braxton Kelley, for coming on the show. And thank you, Big Blue Nation, for all of you out there listening. You've been listening to Wildcat Sports Talk. Peace out.
Peace out.
I suggest that you let it go. This is Grove Street party, fake, hit the exit. Got it. Y'all need money. Y'all need money. I don't need It's a party, it's a party. Rolling out the, you can do the lean. Blowing all that loud, hey that Bobby Brown. Back the hood got my fucking back. The streets, I'm not judging it. Please step the grocery, yes we are. Hood plus a